Welcome to the Painting Coach, and today I'm going to show you how to paint Salamander's flesh. But I'm not only going to show you how to do that, I've got a top tip for how to paint eyes really easily. I'll also show you how to paint some scarring on the model as well. So without any further ado, let's get painting. Let's get this eye tip out of the way first then, and it's really simple. All you need to do is paint the eyes before you paint anything else, then paint around them. And this makes it a lot quicker to do the eyes as well. So to get going, get yourself an off-white colour. You don't want a bright white because it's going to look a little bit silly. I've gone for a very bright bone/ivory type colour. And just paint this over the pupils. Now, this particular sculpt is not great for painting eyes. I didn't realise this at the time because it's got very small eyes. But most of the sculpts, they will give you a little bit of a fighting chance. And of course, I'm doing this without magnification. If you're doing this at home, and if I was doing this off a video, I would be using magnification as well. Then once that's dry, just give it a little bit of a wash of Reikland Fleshshade. Now this will start to map out the eyeball for you. It'll also give you a little bit of a colour transition as well. Don't flood the area, you just want a nice thin amount in those recesses. Next up, paint the pupils. Now the salamanders have got red pupils, so I'm using some Baal Red. You want to make sure you've got a paint that flows quite nicely, because the trouble you may have is by the time you take it off your palette and get to the model, your paint will have dried. So you want something that stays wet a bit longer. So contrast paint is perfect for this. And again, make sure you've got a really good tip on your brush. With that done, it's time to base the face. And we're going to do this very carefully, avoiding those eyes. So for salamander skin, I'm going to take some Corvus Black, which is an off black. It's a very dark grey. You can use something like German grey, may work okay for this. And we're just going to paint this all over the face, which is nice, easy and straightforward. When that's totally dry, we will wash it with some Nuln Oil. Now, again, you want to be careful around those eyes that you've already finished. Just take your time with this. Don't put it on too heavily. Don't let it pool too much. We need to make this completely dry before we get to the next stage. When that's dry, we'll go back to the Corvus Black and we're going to paint this on all the raised areas, leaving that Nuln Oil in the recesses. So we're looking for prominent features such as the forehead, the brow, the nose, the cheekbones, the chin. So we just make sure we just touch those back up to that normal Corvus Black colour. And again, make sure you've got a good tip on your brush for this. Take your time. And if you've got magnifying glasses, I implore you to use them. The first highlight we'll do is with Skavenblight Dinge. Now, this is a little bit warmer than using just a neutral grey, which I think works better because despite the skin colour of the salamanders, they still have warm blood flowing through their veins. So you do want a little bit of warmth in the flesh, and this is how we're going to get it. In terms of where we're going to apply this, we're going to apply it almost in exactly the same areas as we put the Corvus Black on the last step, but we are just going to make sure that it stays inside any Corvus Black highlights we've done. So this will start to build up that transition to the light areas. We're focusing on the most raised parts, like I said, the forehead, the brow, the cheekbones, and the nose. The last highlight that will pop on the flesh before I show you how to do some of the scarring is going to be Stormvermin Fur. Now again, this is a warm browny grey type colour, and this just adds that warmth to the flesh. So we're going to focus this in those areas where we've just put the Skavenblight Dinge, and we're going to make sure that we've got a really good tip on our brush and that we're painting nice thin lines of this. Now this is a fairly thin paint as well, so if you put a little bit of water into it, when you paint it on the model, you'll see that it'll start to blend in a little bit to the layer underneath anyway. So you may have to go in with just a second sharp highlight on the more prominent areas, such as that forehead and the tip of the nose and cheekbones, just to get it to show up nice and build that transition really easily. To paint that scarring, we need to put a darker red in there because I'm going to treat this as though it's quite old. So the colour I'm going to use is Khorne Red, and all I'm going to do is paint it into the scar gap. Now this is fairly easy and straightforward. If you do make any mistakes, it's really easy to fix with the previous colours we've used. So just get that into those recesses. To highlight this part of the skin, I need something a little bit lighter than what we've previously used. So I'm going to use some of that ivory that I used for the eyes, and I'm just going to mix a little bit of this into the Stormvermin Fur, which gives me a nice bright colour. If you haven't got ivory, you could try with a tiny little bit of white as well, perhaps even some Karak stone in there as well. And what I'm going to do is just add this along the edges so it looks like it's that really damaged, scarred flesh. There we go. This salamander skin tutorial is done. I'm sure you want to know how to paint salamanders marines. Well, good news. I got plenty of videos for that. Check them out here. I really appreciate you watching. Please leave a like and a comment down below, and I'll see you next time.